and I'm still coming back to give us greeting part 2. But let me leave you with this. If you have not been taking greeting very important, please from this moment, start saying your greetings to people very well. I'm still coming back to give us greeting part 2. On this note, I'd like to pass on the mic to the next speaker.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Nigeria and the world. My name is Oluwagbemisola Hannah Ugumefu, and I am a teacher. But I'm not here to tell you about me being a teacher. I'm here to give you a charge on becoming the teacher you once needed. But before I go on, let me ask you a little question. Who was that teacher that you loved most when you were in school? Think about it. Think about it. Who was your favorite teacher? For some of you, you thought about that teacher who made teaching interesting, who made it fun. Yes. And some of you thought about that teacher who broke down the concepts that you've been battling with over time. You've always said that English is technical, but a teacher comes in and then demystifies English. You've always said that math is hard, but a teacher comes, demystifies math, and you're wondering, what's going on here? Where has this teacher been all my life? Yes. And for some of you, that teacher could just be someone who saw you beyond the fact that you are a student in their classroom. Who saw you and saw what you're going through and carried you through. It could be any of those. Whichever teacher you thought about, that's the teacher I'm talking about. Becoming the teacher we once needed. Let's take a look back. Now, we've thought about all the good teachers, yes. But then, by the side, as you were thinking about those good teachers, I'm very sure that some teachers popped up and you pushed them back. Not you, not you. Yes. Those ones that made teaching super boring. And you're like, excuse me, what am I doing here? Those teachers that made you drop some subjects, that this subject, I'm not doing it again. Those teachers that made you decide, no, I don't want to go to this department, I'll go to this department. As long as this teacher is here, I just don't want to do this. Those teachers that made you feel less of yourself. A speaker spoke about a teacher saying, you're a bookworm, you're talkative. Those kind of teachers. I remember some time ago when my secondary school mates, we had a reunion, and in the course of the catching up and all that, we began to talk about some of our teachers, and oh, this teacher, and then, you know, we talked about some teachers that were so funny, and like, oh, this teacher was always funny, was always this, was always that. And we also talked about some teachers that, oh, that one that never attends class, oh, this one that is always this. And you know, I was just there, I am a teacher. Ooh, this is how I will be analyzed one day too. Whatever I do, whether I did it well or I don't do it well. Now we're analyzing our own teachers. But then one day, somebody will analyze you too. Yes. We need to understand that the good teachers, the bad teachers, the ugly teachers, and I hope you know that when I say ugly, I'm not talking about their face, but what they do to us. Whether we like it or not, they all form who we are today. That's just it. They all form who we are. And that's why I'm bringing this to us. Becoming the teacher you once needed. I know we never needed those bad teachers anyways, even though they have an impact on us. Some of them help us to be like, I don't want to be like this person. And some are like, oh, I really look forward to being like this person. So they have an impact on us. But we want to be that teacher that we once needed. Why am I talking about becoming the teacher we once needed? You might be like, oh, I'm not a teacher, so I don't think this is for me. Yes, you're not a teacher, I understand. But can you tell me any sector of the society that you don't need a teaching skill? Any sector? There isn't. Even in the home, you need your teaching skill. Because you're going to teach as a mother, you teach your children. As a father, you teach your children to be responsible individuals in the society. As a sibling, you need to teach your younger ones, even your elderly ones. Yes, you can be an example to them. In your place of work, you are a doctor, you have doctors underneath you who are learning from you to become better doctors. You're a lawyer, you have lawyers underneath you who are learning from you to become better lawyers. You are an engineer, you are even a speaker. You have people who look up to you to become better speakers. So whatsoever it is, whatever sector you find yourself, whatever area you find yourself, you are a teacher. You are a teacher. Whether you teach directly, you don't have to be in front of a board to teach. There is a saying that my pastor said some time ago. It says something about Christians presently being the Bible the world reads. The world don't read Bible anymore. They read you as a Christian. That's a little digression. But that's how it is. You might necessarily not be in front of a board or in the four walls of a classroom, but you are a teacher. In your environment, you are a teacher. What kind of teacher are you? That's why it matters. What kind of teacher did you need growing up? Or even as close as when you were in the university? I know some of you might have met some funny lecturers that you're like, oh no. And then you might also have met some lecturers that you're like, thank God I met this person. What kind of lecturer did you need? Think back. What kind of lecturer or what kind of teacher did you need? That's the person we are talking about today. Now that need might be different from one person to another. The need might be different. It doesn't have to be the same. No. Because for some people might just need teachers that will make them laugh. Probably because the home front is so boring. They could be the only child, and once they get back home, that's it. It's them and their ears. The parents are not even around. So all the fun they have in their life at that point in time is the fun they catch in school. They don't even need you to teach them to understand because they are smart on their own. There are people like that. There's some people, what they need is someone to break down a concept to them, to really understand. Because they try to read on their own, but it just does not stick. And they're beginning to doubt themselves. Am I not doing well enough? Or I don't think I'm good at this. I don't think I can do this. I don't think. And you just come into the picture to make them understand that they are more than enough. Maybe show them one or two tricks to help them understand better. And you've become the teacher they needed. For some people, all they need in you is to just tell them everything will be fine. Because once they step out of the four walls of your classroom, the world out there is chaotic for them. They just need to know that they are going to be fine. They just need to know that they are not the problem, because that is what the world is pushing onto them. You are the problem. You are my problem. But just one, you are okay. You're going to be fine. You are not the problem. You are a blessing. You are a voice in your generation. One word of affirmation, one word of encouragement, that is all they need. Becoming the teacher you once needed. I'm still on why it matters to become the teacher you once needed. Let's take a journey down memory lane. Not ours this time around, but on the memory of history. Let's look at Ben Carson. Ben Carson is a world-known neurologist and pediatrician. Now, let's go down again, memory lane, at his early years, because it didn't just happen to be there. Somebody helped him get there. When Ben Carson was in school, his early years, he was termed to be dull, mentally retarded, and this and that. Teachers that were supposed to bring him up gave up on him, tagged him as a dull student, believed that nothing good could come out of him. If only they had a glimpse of what he would become in future. If only. They failed in their assignment to be who he needed at that point in time. You should serve as a bridge from where the learner is to where they ought to get to. But they failed that assignment. But thank God. Thank God his mother never gave up. And that was why I said earlier, when I say becoming the teacher you once needed, it's not just, I'm not talking to teachers alone. You don't have to be a teacher for you to pick something from this. The mom could have said, well, if the teachers are not doing anything, what could I do? We see that a lot these days. When parents put the responsibility, their own responsibility, it takes two to tango. There is the school front, yes, and then there is the home front, and both have to do the responsibilities. But what happens when one side fails in the responsibility? Who suffers? When two elephants fight, the grass suffers, the student suffers. Thank God, the mom not only stood her ground, despite not being so learned, stood her own ground, took up her responsibility, and took up the school's responsibility to stand by him. Now, just because of what that the little effort, the so-called little effort of one not so educated woman did. We talk about Ben Carson today. Ironically, the world only talks about success stories. Another example. We're still journeying down memory lane. Albert Einstein. When you hear that name, what comes to your head? IQ. Am I right? That's what comes to your head. Now, you cannot talk about a genius without bringing in that name, Albert Einstein. But what if I told you that Albert Einstein was relegated early childhood as mentally retarded too? In fact, it was so bad because he didn't speak early. They even named a sickness after him. That's how bad his own was. Imagine you're having a headache, or probably because you have headache all the time, then they now name it baby's headache. As in, how bad could it be? That you not only see me, but you see my problem, and you name my problem after me. What hope do I have? How do you expect me to rise? Because even when I want to rise, those shackles, those invisible shackles alone, hold me down. That was what was done to him. But also, thank God for his parents. The parents did not fail him. Unfortunately, his teachers failed him woefully. The school system failed him woefully. They failed to identify his learning style. They failed to identify his learning strengths and tagged him as an unachieving student because he could not conform. But look at Einstein today. We want to talk about people with the highest IQ. If we don't put his name, that list is it's not incomplete. The list has not started. That's just it. Becoming the teacher you once needed. We're still on why it matters. When you become the teacher you once needed, you will teach with empathy. You will not teach with expertise. It's not about teaching for 20 years or 40 years. You can have taught for over how many years, but yet you will not make the impact that a new teacher would make. You will teach with empathy. I think I learned that very early in my career. My very first classroom. I had some set of children. Some were too troublesome and some were too quiet. You know, it was two worlds entirely. There was no in between. There was nothing like this one is in between, it's calm, and there was no calm and collected in the class. It was two worlds. So that was where I found myself, my very first year of teaching. Imagine that kind of classroom for a new teacher. I didn't know what I was doing because I was a new teacher. I really did not, it wasn't from expertise. It wasn't from expertise. But I think what carried me through was empathy. Because I don't see these children as students that I have to teach, no. I see them as a generation that I have to touch. Because looking at myself, this is a perfect example of someone who met the teacher she once needed. I am a math teacher. I've been teaching for 20 years. But then, primary school I never loved math. Secondary school I never loved math. When did it change? SS1. I met a teacher who told me, you're an art student, yes, but you can do this. If only you put your mind to it, work with me, I will work with you. I decided to give it a chance. I said, okay, I've always heard math is hard, math is hard. Okay, if you say math is not hard, I'll work with you. Let's see how it goes. And here I am today. Got admission 3 years later into the university to study mathematics, and everybody was like, art student studying math. I was scared myself, even though I chose it with my hands. I was scared. I would think about it and my heart would beat. Boom. Art students studying math. But he said something. I know you are an art student, but I know you can do it. And I held on to that word. And whenever the going became tough, I would tell myself, I know I am an art student, but I know I can do it. And I did it. In my wildest imagination, although I've always loved to teach, I never thought I was going to become a teacher. But that propelled me to become a teacher. I told myself I'm going to pay it forward. If only I had not met that teacher. Yes, I might have been a teacher, but most definitely not a math teacher. Most definitely. I know many students have been able to help, not to just love that subject. Understand that it's not hard. It's actually simple. It's something you do every day. And someone will look at me like, I'm like, can you just give me your brain? I'm like, sorry, I can't give you my brain, but I can help you. You know? But that only became possible because I found someone I needed. Someone willing to walk with me. And I chose to become that person to other sets of people. Becoming the teacher you once needed. You will not teach from expertise. You will teach from empathy. Understanding that every life, both young and old, that passes through you is a generation. A generation that will pass on whatever you give to them. They will pass it on. They will pay it forward. They will pay it forward. So you have to be empathetic. When you become the teacher you once needed, you will seek to build connections first before correcting anybody. One of the parents of the students I teach once asked me, why is it that you're able to be very patient with, because she has a child that you need a truckload of patience to teach. She was like, I've had so many teachers give up on her, but you never give up. How come? And I told her something. I said, well, maybe that's because I'm coming from a place of failure. I know what it means not to understand. I know what it means to enter an exam hall, you see questions one to the end, and you don't have anything in your head to write. I was once there, I did not know math. And I also know what it means when you write, when you see a question from the beginning to the end and you know everything. And the instruction says answer 5 out of 8, and you know all the 8s. And your dilemma is, which one will I now write now? I know what it means. I've tasted both worlds. So I know when a child looks down, even when they try to hide their feeling, I understand how they feel. So I can't have been in that situation and then now look at a child and say, why can't you understand this simple concept? No, because I knew there was a time I didn't understand that simple concept too. So I was able to work with them more because I had built a connection. Because I'm not trying to correct first. No. You don't understand this concept? No problem, no problem. There are many ways to kill a fish. There are so many ways. And there's so many ways to get to the mole. If you like, we're in the era of AI. If you like teleports. As soon as you find yourself in the mall, all well and good. If you like, go with helicopter and drop in the middle. So because of that, if one method does not work, another method will work. We will find a method that works for you because we're not seeking to correct, but to connect. That is what you do when you become a teacher that you once needed. You will not seek to compare. Those that are understanding these concepts, or those that are scoring 10 over 10, do they have 10 heads? We hear that a lot, especially from African parents. You came second position, so the person that scored first has 10 heads. Or what are you using your own head to do? When you become a teacher you once needed, you would not compare. I know I once had a student that I had to tell the parents because they were always comparing her and they were always putting a lot of pressure on her, and it was really weighing her down. I was beginning to lose that student and I did not want it. I don't like getting students to the level where it takes prayers and therapy to bring them back. So the best thing is, let's not drive them there. So I told the parent, I said, I need you to do something for me. Don't talk to this child about anything academics. Leave it to me. Whatever you want to talk to her about academics, say it to me. If she fails, hold me responsible. I take full responsibility. And the parent said, oh, okay. You already said. I said, fine. If she fails, hold me responsible. And I began to work with this child. But I did not start with 1 plus 1, no. I started as a motivational speaker. You can do it. Pumped a lot of confidence in her. All the confidence that had been emptied from her, I pumped them back. Got her to where I needed her to be before we began to work on the academic aspects. And at the end, the parents came back to say thank you. And they learned a lesson. It's not about comparison. It is not about comparison. It is about the person. You treat the person like a person. Let them know the potentials they carry. Let them know that they can attain, they can be whoever they want to be, as long as they put their mind to it. And they would strive to even go further than you'd ask them to. Becoming the teacher you once needed. Still on the topic of some of the students in my classroom, I had another child in the United Kingdom that the teacher believed she could not amount to nothing. Another case of a teacher failing in her duty. Believed she could not do anything simply because she did not understand the concept she was explaining. Who knows? The concept could have been technical. Who knows? She could have failed to get it across in a way she would understand. Who knows? I was not there. But every time the child will come to me and say, Ms. Bemi, I'm not getting the methods she's explaining. And I'll tell her something. What do I always say? There are so many ways to get to the mall, as long as you get to the mall. One sweet thing about mathematics, you don't have to use one particular method, except that method is being explicitly asked for. If not, freestyle. Do you know the methods I teach you? She said yes. I said, okay, fine. Use my methods. Fast forward to when they wrote an exam in class. She came top, and the teacher was shocked. She wondered, this child, how did she do it? But this is a child she had always looked down upon. I know she must have felt bad in herself. She didn't say anything, but then the child noticed that the attitude changed towards her. We don't have to only give our best attitudes to high-performing students. No, we are actually there for the ones that are not doing so well. That's why we are there. Becoming the teacher you once needed. If only the child did not meet someone who truly believed in her that she could do it, what would have happened? Another casualty case or another near miss. What would have happened? Another child here in Nigeria, one of my students, a lot of people looked at her and said, oh, this one has a learning disability, she's this, she's that. And I looked at her. Yes, I've worked with so many students with learning disabilities and all that. When I looked at this child does not have a learning disability. She only needs a teacher who sees her, who understands her, and who is willing to be there for her. That was all she was asking for. And believe me, she was not asking for too much. She wasn't asking for too much at all. She wasn't asking for too much. I tried to explain to the teachers taking, I said, this child that I see does not have a learning disability. But like I said, expertise and empathy. There's a long-standing war between those two. And sometimes people want to claim, oh, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for the past how many years. Okay. Thank God I've been doing it for the past how many years too. But I still understand that despite the expertise, you can never put expertise above empathy. In fact, empathy will give you a clarity that expertise will not give to you. One thing led to the other, and I got to teach this child. And I was able to carry out what I have seen. Okay, I've seen that this child does not need any special attention, like she does not have a learning disability. She just needs someone who sees her. And I gave her that attention. Fast forward to the following year. This child moved from low achiever to high achiever in the space of not 1 year, because this is the next class we're talking about, which is like 3 to 6 months. And she moved. Not only did she move to high achiever, she became a student that when she finishes her work, she'll ask, can I help other struggling students? A struggling student now helping other struggling students. Remember, when you become a teacher you once needed, to anyone, they will always pay it forward. You don't have to become a teacher. In any way whatsoever, they will always pay it forward. And that is why this is very important. Become the teacher that you once needed. Now, how do we become the teacher that we once needed? Mahatma Gandhi said something. He said, become the change that you want to see in the world. And I've explained the reasons why we need to become this change that we want to see. Well, how do we now become this change that we want to see in the world? Number one, be approachable. You are not the lion of the tribe of your class. So be approachable. Sometimes these students just want to come to you. They don't want to talk about math. They don't want to talk about English. They want to tell you about how they fell yesterday and they hit their leg. And who knows, the leg could have been hurting during your lesson and they were not listening. That's just all they want to tell you. A student of mine was struggling in class many years ago and nothing was getting in. But then, I was like, I just got to talk to her. What's going on? So I said, my nanny said, I'm good for nothing. That she's actually bigger than me. Imagine a year 4 child who has a bigger stature than I am. So she's very big. So the nanny said that all she knows how to do was to eat and become big. And there was nothing in her head. Even went as far as saying that instead of her getting big in the brain, she's getting big in the body. That's a very nasty word to tell anybody, talk less of a child. Now, this child did not come to anybody to tell us. It was noticed when she wasn't giving her best. It was noticed. Another reason why empathy matters over expertise. If it had not been noticed, she would have been in class, the lesson would have been successful, but she would not have picked anything. And after class, we now started the counseling section. And no, you cannot be this, you are that, you are beautiful, started washing off all the negativity. Shortly afterwards, we saw a new student in our class, only that she wasn't so new. It was still the same girl. But with a new attitude, with renewed enthusiasm, believing now that she can do it, believing now that she has what it takes, believing now that even though she's big, she's beautiful. She's not big because of what she eats alone. She's big because she was made that way and she's beautiful. Now she loves herself the way she is. And she's doing fantastic. Becoming the teacher that you once needed. Be consistent. See these people that look at you, be children, be adults. They know when you're not who you are or who you used to be. They know. They know. You have to be consistent. Especially children. Sometimes they'll tell you, oh, you didn't do what you used to do anymore. Or, oh, you didn't do that thing that you did yesterday. Oh, you did not say this. Oh, you did not say that. Adults will not even come to you. They'll just look at you like this. Something is different. Is this person fine? Is this person okay? I know as teachers we have our up and downs, we have our days of low batteries and high batteries. But even when we have flat battery, we need to learn to be consistent. Because it could be on those days of our flat battery that these students would need us the most. We won't say, go, I'm not in the mood for this now. No. Even if you need that time, you could simply say, I'm very sorry I can't attend to you right now, but can you just give me like 2-3 minutes and I'll get back to you. And make sure you get back in those 2-3 minutes. Make sure to get back. Be consistent. Be consistent. Be encouraging. I've overflowed about the issue of encouragement. I have talked about it over and over and over. Be encouraging. The words carry a lot of power. The words carry a lot of power. Be encouraging. You cannot afford to beat someone down, to kill someone's morale, to kill someone's energy, spirit, because of your words. You cannot afford to be careless with your words. You cannot afford it. A generation could be hanging on a balance just because of one word that you say. So you have to ensure that you are always encouraging. Be encouraging. And finally, be reflective. Be reflective. You have to think about what you've done. How did my class go yesterday? What did I do well? What could I have done better? How could I have helped the students better? What could I have done differently? If I could relive or spend this day, how could I have been better? Be reflective. Think about how your day went. Think about how you dealt with that student. Think about how you taught that lesson. And ask yourself, how could I have been better? Because the moment you stop learning, you begin to die. And that's why we need to keep learning from the things we do also. Learning to become better. Unlearning the ones that need to be unlearned. Relearning the ones that need to be relearned. And learning the ones that need to be learned. Be authentic. Be authentic. Be yourself. I had a student who once told me, Miss Baby, why is it that when I come to you, you always say, no, if I cannot do it to everyone, I won't do it to you. And he would always ask me that question, day in, day out. Only for the end of the session, he wrote me a beautiful letter. Thank you for being fair. And I was wondering, oh, that's new, so you knew I was actually being fair. But all through the year, you were actually questioning me day in, day out on why I was being fair. Interesting. Be yourself. They know. They know when you're doing something that works for them or that would benefit them, and they know when you're doing something that is not right. They know. Be yourself. The legacy that will leave is that one day, many years down the line, there will be someone who will think about you and smile. Ironically, they might not remember your name. Ironically, they might not even remember your face. Ironically, they might not remember your name. They might not remember your lesson. They might not even remember what you said. But you see, one thing they would remember is how you made them feel. They would remember that, and they will smile, thanking God that they came across you, that they had you as their teacher, or even as their mentor, or even as their sister, or even as their brother. Who knows? Parents, whatever. They would smile. We need to understand that when we teach with compassion, we touch lives. And when we teach with reflection, we shape futures. Now let me challenge you. Think back. Again, I need you to think back. We already thought about the teacher we loved most. And we know why we love that teacher. Think back to what you needed when you were a student that made you decide that this teacher was my favorite teacher or is still my favorite teacher. Think about what you needed. That thing that you need. Be that person. That thing that you need. Become that person. Because when we teach with patience, empathy, and hope, we are healing the student we once were. And we are empowering the students that we are now teaching. Thank you so much for listening, and I will be passing the mic on to the next speaker.